couple things before we start this review. One, spoiler alert. There will be spoilers. I know that's kind of weird in doing a music review, but if you look at the track listings and you look at the titles and you're like really into Frank Zappa and you're familiar with his catalog and you think you know all of his songs, you're going to read titles on there that you don't recognize. And if you have the liner notes and you know the musicians that play on every single Frank Zappa track, you may kind of suspect some of what's on here. But if you're even a little more casual, even someone like me who makes videos on YouTube about Frank Zappa, a couple of the things on here I knew who the musicians were on the tracks, but I didn't realize they came from these sessions. So when the songs popped up, it was like, wow, that's from here. This is awesome. It was a very nice real-time surprise that I hadn't anticipated when I first listened to this. So in the video, I will talk about the 6 Hot Rat songs and how they're represented on this album before I give away the surprises. So I will make a spoiler alert announcement. Secondly, there's no way I'm going to do justice to this release on this video. Came out in 2019, so it's been out just over a year and a half. In the meantime, Frank has also released, or the ZFT has released Mother's 1970 and Halloween 81 and the soundtrack album and the 88 thing. And I think there was another release packed in there somewhere. Plus all the other music in the world. So with these 6 CDs and most of it being brand new stuff, I know I'm going to leave some absolutely amazing stuff out of this, but I will just say this right now. This is my number 7 ranked out of 55 released after 93. This is a phenomenal release. It may go higher, closer to number 1, or is that lower? It may go lower, farther away, but it's not going to fall very far. But anyways, what was the point of that second part? I don't remember. Oh, I'm not going to do justice to this, so let me just say it's friggin' amazing. One more thing, here are all the musicians who appear on this album at some point, even if it's just in the background of a promotional ad. I know I'm going to forget some of these people, or I think I did, but much love to all of them. Just absolutely amazing performances from start to finish. And so I'm sorry if I make mistakes. There's a lot of music on here, and the musicians who play on any given track change quite often throughout this thing. And so I have not yet wrapped my head around who's playing drums on every single track and all that stuff. My failing. But, you know, I'm here for the music, and the music is ridiculous, but all these people play. So much love to all of them. What's up? My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed away in December of 1993. I already did the ones released prior to his passing elsewhere on this channel if you are interested. And I'm currently at number 7, The Hot Rat Sessions. This is a 6 CD set released in December of 2019, so it has not been out very long. And it is exactly what the title says. This is the music that was performed and played and recorded during the recording of Hot Rats. It is 6 CDs. You actually do not get the original Hot Rats album anywhere on here, though the original 1969 mix. There is a 1987 mix way on disc 5, the first 6 tracks of disc 5. Everything else is presented as it was recorded. So it's in order. You get like, this was first, you get the order it was recorded in. You get sort of master takes, alternate takes, overdub takes, early takes of the 6 tracks that are on Hot Rats. I'll go through it track by track because you get different things with each track. And then you get a whole bunch of other great stuff that Frank being Frank recorded and came up with and played during these sessions, but wouldn't release for a while, for, you know, consecutive years. Yeah, so I won't talk about those for a while. So if you don't want to know what those are yet, I won't tell you. But anyways, so phenomenal sound. The sound is absolutely amazing. You essentially just you get a lot of jams. You have a good number of tracks which are Frank telling them in the studio, like, no, do this, destroy that rhythm, or make it peppier, or hey, I'm getting bored, you need to do more. So you get a lot of that in the studio talk, and you kind of see how Frank builds tracks. But then you get just some mammoth, epic, like just jams. Like, so much of this is them just like, hey, let's improvise now for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 34 minutes. Like, and it just is like so much music. If you don't like guitar solos, if you don't like Sugarcane Harris violin solos, if you don't like keyboard solos, if you don't like solos at all, you will hate this 6 CD set. This is a lot of jazz rock at its finest, just improvised moments, guys soloing for 5-6 minutes at a time, and then they keep jamming, and then they solo again for 5 or 6 minutes at a time. Just an absolutely amazing experience. A lot of different musicians on here. You get Max Bennett and John Guerin on bass and drums, kind of like the key to almost the entire thing. There's a lot of tracks on here that are just bass and drums and then keyboard, just like the 3 percussion, like the 2 percussion and then the rhythm with bass. And that keyboard is Ian Underwood sometimes, also on sax. Sometimes it's Don Preston. He's on here. Shaggy Otis sits in on some things. I think Ron Selico is a drummer on one of the tracks. You got a little bit of Jean-Luc Ponty. And then you got a lot of Frank on guitar. I think I got everybody. I feel like I'm missing somebody. And I'm sorry for that. If I am, I'll put the names down below. But so you just get these amazing musicians at their best. And also you get a lot of Sugarcane Harris, of course, playing a lot of really mean, amazing violin solos. So this is what you get for the 6 tracks that are the original Hot Rat tracks. The first CD is comprised almost completely of Peaches and Regalia tracks. You get prototypes, you get things called Section 1 in Session, you get the master takes, you get a couple really nice jams where they kind of start off with the Peaches and then it just goes on. The first jam kind of goes on to drums and bass for a while, and then you get some more stuff thrown in, and then the second jam, you have a violin solo, a piano solo, you get a Frank solo. It's kind of bluesy at times, but it starts off with the Peaches theme and they just kind of keep going. They just keep having fun. And then you get other versions of Peaches. But this might be one of the most fascinating things of this entire 6 CD set is the Peaches, because it's obvious that Frank just has, the basic sort of melody and chords and that. He doesn't have all the specifics like that opening, that drum fill, that drum roll that opens the track. As they're going through and playing this song over and over again, he's encouraging the drummer to like, no, do it this way. No, add more, be a little more, attack it a little harder until they finally come across that just iconic opening. And so it's really neat to hear that, how that unfolds and how Frank is like really leaving a lot up to the musicians. Like he's coming in with this basic template and then he's sort of encouraging them to add color or attack it in a different way or be creative or, just a lot of different things that Frank is encouraging. And it's the musicians who are coming up with it. And Frank is recognizing, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want. We're keeping it that way. So I think Peaches, you kind of get a sense of how he builds a song more than you do with the other 6 tracks, the other 5 tracks, but the other ones are still really interesting. So you get a lot of Peaches stuff on the first disc. The second disc, you have a lot of It Must Be a Camel master takes and in-session takes and them working on parts over and over again. And then at the end of the second disc, you get several Willie the Pimp tracks, including 2 different guitar overdubs in which they're taking the master tracks that are underneath the drums and the bass. I think it's just those 2. And Frank's just doing different solos over those things. And so it's interesting to, hear that same sort of the drum support and the rhythmic support that you're used to hearing all the time, but with Frank just doing different solos over it. So that's what you get with Willie the Pimp. And then you get later on at the end of CD6, you get like Captain Beefheart doing just the vocals, and you get like other different parts of that. Let's see. Then you get Son of Mr. Green Jeans. You only get 2. I think you only get 2 different takes of Son of Mr. Green Jeans. both of them, you get a master take, and then you get without horns. A lot of this stuff is like just drums, bass, and piano with either guitar or violin solo. You don't get a lot of the horn overdubs that would come in on the final album. And I think in both of the Son of Mr. Green Jeans, there's none of that. None of that melody, that sort of horn melody that rides over the songs exists. It's really just Frank's guitar playing and the rhythm section driving the song. And I think it's a testament to how hard Frank pushes the band in the studio, that a lot of these songs without those like horn overdubs or keyboard overdubs or those like final production flourishes on the album, how strong the songs are and compelling they are just with like the barest, most basic components. You get I don't want to say the wrong track because that'll give it away. But one of them, I'm trying to remember what the full name of, the Gumbo Variations on here is called Big Legs. And it is 32 minutes long, 32 minutes and 42 seconds long. And that's where the Gumbo Variations come from. So it's really just like the Gumbo Variations times 2. Some of the parts drag a little bit, but I think it's just interesting to kind of feel like, I think most of where the Gumbo Variations come from on the release are from roughly the first 2/3 of it. And at the end, they kind of go off into little different avenues. I think it gets a little swing vibe for a while. But it's really interesting to hear like this massive 32 plus minute jam and see how Frank pulled parts out of it and pared it down, for what we got on the official album. And then you also get somewhere on here, I'm trying to remember, it might come under a different name, where we get Little Umbrellas. But there's some Little Umbrellas work on here too. And that might have what is that known as on here? I don't even know what it's on. It's known as Natasha. So Little Umbrellas is known as Natasha. So all the tracks on here that are called Natasha are actually become Little Umbrellas. So that's what you get. And you get a lot of like master takes of that. And I'm thinking of you get a master take, you get an in-session take. You don't quite get as much of Natasha as you do some of the other things. And then the final disc, I think one of the most interesting things, still talking about the original 6 tracks and how they're represented on here, you get a really, really early, the Cucamonga version of Little Umbrellas, which I think is from 1962 or 63. Kind of sounds older, kind of sounds dated, has more of a jazzy, like almost like a dance hall vibe to it with, I think it's a lot more horns in it. It's a really, really cool version of that. Then you get different mixes and different outtakes of all those songs to finish out on the final CD, plus some rhythm tracks and stuff like that. So the original album, if you are a fan of Hot Rats, the original album is incredibly well represented. You get the original 6 songs in a 1987 mix, which sounds pretty good. If anything, it's less dynamic, but it's not completely flat. It's just maybe the range has been compressed a little bit, or maybe that's just me imagining it. But then you just get you get alternate solos, for Willie the Pimp. You get how they're building these songs. You get these outtakes. So you get a lot of material from those 6. But this is what else you get. So after they recorded all this, Frank's career continued, and he started to release other albums, right? And I should have brought this list up for. So I think the next album he released after he released Hot Rats was, we're going to pull, I know this, but I don't want to make a mistake right now and then like have to skip around and get wrong albums. So after he released Hot Rats, the next album was Burnt Weenie Sandwich. And on here, there is a couple things that appeared on Burnt Weenie Sandwich. There are tracks called Piano 1 and Piano Music Section 1 and Piano Music Section 3. And there's another piano music somewhere on a later CD, maybe Section 4 is what it is. Piano Music Section 3 overdub version. But these tracks, the intro to Little House I Used... spoiler alert. I will put that before I talk about this, even though I forgot to say spoiler alert. So the piano music section number 1 has the Little House I Used to Live in piano intro that would appear on Burnt Weenie Sandwich. So that appears on here. Plus that entire jam that appears on Little House I Used to Live in, that is called Another Waltz on here. And that is in its entirety. That thing is super duper long. It's like close to 20 minutes long, 27 minutes and 56 seconds long. That is an incredible jam. I think it's Ian, a lot of Ian, and a lot of, I don't know who else. I think Ian mostly gets a really nice solo in this. Oh, and Sugarcane Harris, of course, gets a really good solo. But this is 27 minutes long, and Frank would pare this down and put it on Little House I Used to Live In. But the entire thing, I think, is worth hearing. And so that's what would pop up on Burnt Weenie Sandwich. The following year, Weasels Ripped My Flesh would come out, and the Toads of the Short Forest, the beginning of that, those rhythm tracks for that little instrumental part that starts off Toads of the Short Forest, that is called Arabesque, and you get them working on that. There's at least one mix with an overdub, and I think there's a couple other, there's an in-session and a master take of Arabesque. That would be pared down quite a bit, and that would appear in the first half of Toads of the Short Forest on Weasels Ripped My Flesh. Then you get Chunga's Revenge, and Chunga's Revenge is represented here on a track called Transition, which makes me think that it was meant to be used as part of another song. But that would become 20 Small Cigars on Chunga's Revenge. I think you just get like the rhythm tracks on this. I don't think you get anything that is the final version of it on here. But it's great to hear this. So yeah, you get a lot of intercuts. Don't know what that means. Not a studio musician, but it sounds like they're gonna like slice it in to make the song. I'm sure someone can tell me in the comments. But yeah, so this is really interesting to see how they're building 20 Small Cigars. Frank would then release that on Chunga's Revenge. And then all the way back in September of 1978, he would release Studio Tan. And on Studio Tan, there's a song called Let Me Take You to the Beach, wah, 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 wah. And that is represented here by something called Dame Margaret's Son to Be a Bride. And this is one of those where, like, when they first start playing it, it's kind of dull and boring. And Frank tells them that he's fallen asleep, and they just keep rerunning it until it, like, just starts a dun, 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 dun. But it's interesting to hear how, like, and when they first start playing it and recording it, like, it needs those overdubs. It needs those, like, the vocals or the other things that drive the melody. But once they find the groove and just start writing it, yeah, they don't need that stuff. It's so good on its own. So that is another thing that is on here is Let Me Take You. And I think I've covered all the really big surprises. Also, there's other stuff. Oh, no, I completely forgot from Weasels Rip My Flesh, Directly From My Heart to You. There's a 10-minute version of that. Pretty much the exact same version that is on Weasels Rip My Flesh. This is just longer. So you get a little more Sugarcane Harris, which is always a good thing. And then other things which aren't represented in the official catalog. You get Bogner Regis, which was a song which I think was going to be a B-side of a single. I don't know if it ever was. I'm not a singles collector, so I don't know much about Frank Zappa singles, unfortunately. But I think there was going to be a shortened version of that. And that's kind of an instrumental jam that has some really good solos in it, but kind of takes a while to take off. And I don't think the melody or just the groove that Frank's going for works as well as almost everything else on this. But it's still an interesting listen. And then you get a longer version of Little Clanton Shuffle, which appeared on Lost Episodes, which was just kind of a jam session. I think it's with Sugarcane. Get a bass solo in there. Get some Frank. You get some more violin. So you get that full version of that. So yeah. And then I think, I was just looking at my notes, one of the neatest things here is the Another Waltz, which is that jam that goes into Little House I Used to Live In. I think when I made the Burnt Weenie Sandwich video, I said that I think that jam had been taken from a King Kong. I was wrong, obviously it's from this, but the beginning of this starts off exactly like King Kong would start off when it got to like the Flo and Eddie Mothers. And I think, yeah, even with the original Mothers, it has that dun 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 like driving bass sound, and you just expect it to go dun 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 dun. So it sounds like King Kong when they start, but it's not. So I was wrong, but at the same time, kind of not really, because it sounds exactly like that. So yeah, like I could go through this track by track, but there is so much, like, it's not worth going through track by track. So pretty much you get this amazing, oh, and then piano music section number 3 starts off with Ian playing Peaches. Oh, and that's another song I forgot. So on piano music number 3, section 3, Ian starts off by playing Peaches and Regalia, and then he starts playing ABC. So ABC from Burnt Weenie Sandwich also comes from these sessions. How did I forget that? So I think I covered all the little secret surprises that I wrote down in my notes. So you get this is quickly what's on the album, just to end up. You get piano music for a couple times, you get a whole bunch of Peaches tracks, master takes, jams, and then you get the Arabesque, which is the Toads of the Short Forest, and side disc 1 ends up with a 4.5-minute version of Dames Margaret's Son, the Let Me Take You to the Beach. Second CD has a bunch of It Must Be a Camel. Then you get some Natasha, which is Little Umbrellas. Then you get a really long, a 10-minute long Bognor Regis. Then you get a bunch of Willie the Pimp stuff with different Willie the Pimp solos. Disc 3 has a whole bunch of 20 Small Cigars tracks. Then you get the Little Clanton Shuffle, Directly From My Heart to You, and the 28-minute Another Waltz, which would be pared down and put in a Little House I Used to Live In. We're now on disc 4. You get Dame Margaret's. You get some Son of Mr. Jean's alternate takes. You get the 32-minute Big Legs, which would become gumbo variations. You get an It Must Be a Camel percussion tracks. You get a different version of Arabesque. This one has a guitar overdub on it, but it's still not the complete thing. You get other stuff, more piano music, and another take on 20 Small Cigars. Then disc 5, you get the 87 mix of the Hot Rats album. You get a story, you get some commercials, you get different versions of the songs on Hot Rats. Then disc 5 closes out with the Little Clanton Shuffle. And then disc 6 is like alternate takes of all Hot Rats stuff, plus another alternate take of Dames Margaret, some commercials. And yeah, it's just ridiculously good. So I know I left a lot of stuff out. I probably got stuff wrong. This really is an overwhelming release that I still really get excited about listening to, because there are still just treasures that are revealed. Apologize if I didn't give it enough love to all the musicians that appear on this album. I think for me, without a doubt, the 2 stars are Sugarcane Harris and his violin playing, which is always just phenomenal, and Ian Underwood. I mean, Ian Underwood is just ridiculous, and we're not even getting like a lot of the overdubs that he did for the horns and stuff that appear on the album on this box set. But we do have that ridiculous Big Legs gumbo variation solo, and his piano playing, and just Ian Underwood in general. And everybody, Don Preston's on this. I mean, this is just such a ridiculously amazing set of music. So yeah, that's all I got to say. I'm going to stop. Yeah, and that's it. Let me know if you have this, what you think about it, whether you like it, all that kind of stuff. And leave comments, and thank you for watching. And it's number 7. I highly recommend it. It is a great box set. All right, peace. Take care, y'all.